Hey guys, today we're here to talk about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It's out, it was developed by Rocksteady Studios, and it got a lot of mixed reviews. When I started researching for this game, initially I saw that people hated the game and it was considered very mediocre with, lame combat and all of that. But then I started looking at the other side and saw that a lot of players are having a great time with the game. If you look at user reviews on Steam and PlayStation Store, you're gonna see very positive reviews. People having a blast with the game. So I thought, hey, what's going on here? What exactly is going on? And it's not unseen that a game will, split the audience and a lot of people will love, a lot of people will hate. That's not unseen, but I wanted to understand what's going on here with Suicide Squad. So if you like the game, if you like the characters, or simply are interested in the story, stick around. Hey guys, I'm Harry. I've been a game designer and producer for the past 10 years. I've worked with games from mobile to PC, and I'm here to talk about games, production, and my take as a game developer to all of those things happening in the industry right now. So if you like that kind of content, hit the subscribe button, leave a like on the video as well. That helps me a lot growing the channel. I'm trying to produce more and more content for you guys. Also leave a comment below saying what games you'd like me to cover here on the channel, and I'll have a look at them. Alright, Suicide Squad. So first, it was developed by Rocksteady Studios, and I love them. They are the developers of the Batman Arkham series. To me, the greatest video games about superheroes of all time. At first I was disappointed to see the mixed and negative reviews because they are Rocksteady. I want them to continue the success of the Batman Arkham series with more and more games, action, stealth, and superheroes and whatnot. So I got deeper into that story and I was looking at the game to understand. But I think this game has a lot of merit, right? And you can see people talking about that as well, recognizing that. The graphics are amazing. The performance capture is incredible. It's probably one of the top in the industry right now. The facial expressions gives a lot of personality to the characters. The voiceover super well done. So you can see all of the personality there in Harley Quinn, in Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, King Shark, all of those characters. And that's a big part of what this franchise needs, right? Because I think one of the worst things you can do is actually to compare this Suicide Squad game with the Batman Arkham games. They are completely different games, even though they are action games about superheroes, but they are completely different propositions. Here, for Suicide Squad, what you need is a lot of satire, a kind of psychedelical fun that you have in the 2021 movie, if you remember that movie. That movie was very well received, actually. I think that movie represented the characters really well, and it was about a lot of satire humor and fluid, intense action and a kind of psychedelic approach to the personalities of the characters and, the light fun. It was not very committed to the realism or to, intense emotional plots within the storyline. And as a matter of fact, I think this game does just that. And it does well. The scenes, because of the performance capture, because of the graphics are amazing, the animations, the mood, especially in the first scenes of the game, you can really feel the mood. And I think it's very, very well done, well composed, and it gives you the personality of the characters, the universe that those characters need to live in. And I'm not a fan of the comic books, I'm not pretending to be, so you guys correct me if I'm wrong if you are a fan, but those characters demand something very different from the Batman and the Batman movies and the Batman games, right? So comparing those two things and wanting some deep storyline or some multifaceted personalities for the characters, I think is misinterpreting a little bit of what this franchise and those characters are, right? They're kind of the Deadpool of the DC universe. You wouldn't expect deep storylines and, emotional stuff a lot in a Deadpool movie or a game, right? So I think recognizing what the characters and the franchise needs is a great part of what makes a game good for that franchise. And I honestly think that Suicide Squad has accomplished that in many ways, not all of the ways Definitely, it's not a super well-rounded game in a lot of ways. It feels kind of generic to play in a sense. The combat is very fluid, so I think that's also by design. Fluid, light combat. You can see that the characters don't have a lot of weight and they move very, very freely, even more than Spider-Man. If you remember, if you like the games, the Spider-Man games are, unanimously amazing. But here you have characters that have a lot of movement that present that kind of light fun that I would compare, even though they are very different, I would still compare with the sense you get while playing Fortnite. If you think about Fortnite, you can play as the Marvel characters in Fortnite. You can play as Kratos. You can play as Dragon Ball characters. You can play as a lot of characters in Fortnite, but you don't expect them to really represent those kind of characters. They're just skins, right? They're just here for the light fun, for the interesting characters for you to play. It's just variability because Fortnite is not focused on deep emotional stories and the overall storyline. It's focused on combat. It's focused on the service. So it is a live service game. It has been so for a long time and it does that really well. So if you think about that, Suicide Squad is trying to be a similar thing. It has a similar proposition to Fortnite or other games that is not about the storyline itself, even though it does deliver that. The story is probably not amazing, that is highly subjective, but still, you would not request, you would not expect an amazing storyline out of the Suicide Squad characters and franchise, right? At least not at first. And in my opinion, that's not what Rocksteady is trying to do with this game. It is clear that the Batman Arkham series were imagined to be something very specific. That was the first Batman game that really made you feel like you are in the skin of Batman. You are in the shoes of Batman, acting like he does and living the things that he lives, using his gadgets and everything. While here the proposition is not necessarily for you to really embody those characters, Harley Quinn and Captain Boomerang and King Shark and Deadshot, but it's just to play like them, like to play with them, kind of like Fortnite. That's why I compare more to Fortnite than to Batman Arkham, right? And I think the game is definitely expected to be a live service. It was designed like that. And I know a lot of people criticize that and a lot of people don't like live services, and I completely understand. It's because the monetization, right? There are good and bad ways to do monetization, and a lot of teams, a lot of publishers, they choose the bad ways. They choose the exploitative ways of monetization. So you feel frustrated playing the game. You feel that you are always in need of paying more to really enjoy the game. Basically, there are two major ways of making monetization for games, both free to play and in this case, premium games as well. You can monetize based on frustration, like waiting times and, restrictions. And you can monetize out of excitement, which is what we as players will enjoy the most, right? You can monetize for more content, better content. So you can experiment with different characters, different skins and costumes and gear. So you have a lot of things to support the gameplay, right? So overall, there are these two kind of models to monetize your game. And many times they are mixed. Many times a couple of mechanics monetize one way, others monetize in different ways. So you can find all of those kinds of monetization in a game. And I understand if people think here that the monetization system for Suicide Squad is not ideal. But then even though, and I hope they get it right with monetization because I think that's a deep and crucial part of the game long term. But even though people criticize that a lot and DLCs, I'm here to support that in one sense. And I've told you guys about that before. Games are very expensive to make. They're very hard to make. They're very costly, not only in terms of money, but also resources. So, and many times you have to get it right upon launch. We discussed that in the Baldur's Gate video. If you didn't see that, go ahead and watch that. But so many times right now, games are expected to be perfect by design at launch. And that is a lot of times harmful for the game and for the experience, for the player. because the studios are not allowed, or at least are criticized, for leaving content for later. But guys, many times when studios leave content for later, is because they are dedicating the time to polish what they are releasing, right? And I know that's not always the case. There are many studios and projects that kind of leave DLCs, leave content for later because of the monetization alone, right? But inherently, you also are focusing on the content that you are promising to release at launch, right? So I think that's a good thing in that sense, because we cannot expect everything to be included at launch and be perfect. So as I said before, less scope is many times beneficial to a higher quality game. So overall, I think between those mixed reviews, some people loving the game, some people hating the game, I think there's a lot of misalignment with the expectations of what the game is proposing to be. And I know we all want the game to be exactly what we want, but in order to enjoy games many times, we have to recognize what that game is supposed to be, is trying to be. And in this case of here, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I believe Rocksteady was trying to deliver some light fun that you can play long term with your friends or other people online. So I think that's the ultimate goal for this game. The storyline, even though very competent in many ways, especially graphics, animation, performance capture, it is super, super well done in all of those senses. But we cannot expect, I believe, a super deep storyline out of those games and characters. I don't think that's what a Suicide Squad game requests. I mean, in that sense, Suicide Squad is like the Guardians of the Galaxy. And in the same way, you would not expect the most emotional storyline for the Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Or at least just a different emotional storyline. Of course, there are a lot of emotions there in the storyline. You can create something deep and interesting, just like the movies are. But still, you have to respect the essence of the characters. And if you take those characters too seriously, it's not going to be those characters at all, right? And I think the game is trying to reflect that. I mean, you may be the audience for this game or maybe not. I'm definitely not the audience. That's not my kind of action. But still, I think if we try to analyze the game in that way, we can enjoy it a lot more and respect what the studio is trying to be and trying to do with the game. Even though it's not perfect, it has a lot of merits, and you can actually enjoy the gameplay quite a lot, as a lot of people are enjoying out there. People who pay the game, who are playing the game and giving positive reviews, positive feedback about the game. But they are also aware that this game is not trying to be everything, is not trying to be disruptive like the Batman Arkham series were. And I think the worst thing you can do as a player to enjoy this game is to compare with the Batman franchise. I think those are completely different things. So a couple of important takeaways from this video that I want you guys to have is to think about that. To think that this game is actually very competent in what it's trying to deliver, in what the franchise, the Suicide Squad characters ask of a game and of a movie or a comic book. So I think the game is delivering that quite a lot. It's not perfect, but does it have to be? Maybe there's room for it to grow and expand. That's why it's a live service. Here comes the potential for good implementations and extra content as a live service. It's not about just new content and new missions and stories. It's about developing the game even more, polishing the game, polishing the gameplay, several aspects of it. Fortnite did that. We compared to Fortnite in this video. So Fortnite was a completely different game upon launch than it is today. And today is a much better game because of that. So I hope that Suicide Squad has enough room and opportunity to grow like that. I'm not trying to compare it to the success of Fortnite because that's a whole other story, but that it has opportunity to do more, to be better over time, and to please even more players over time that enjoy the fluid combat, a lot of verticality and movement that the game has to offer. You don't get that in a lot of games. So this game also offers that. And if you want to see more of those characters and maybe other characters as well, to keep supporting the studio and the game if you want to see more. and you ask more, right? You don't have to be fully pleased with how the state of the game is today. You can request more. But in my opinion, we should be always more open for studios to be implementing more and to be polishing the game over time, because I think the games can grow a lot in that sense. So that was it. Here in my videos, I try to analyze games as a gamer, but also as a game developer, right? I have a lot of insights from inside the industry. And for me as a developer, I think it's super important that gamers understand how productions work, how studios work, restrictions that they have. You know, we all loved those games back in the day where it was just about the game and that's it, right? But even though I'm not saying everything is perfect, on the contrary, there's a lot of mistakes happening in the industry right now in terms of quality of stuff delivered, in terms of monetization models. But I think those things are evolving. If you think about monetization models when free to play was starting in the industry and now, you can already see a huge gap, a huge difference. And I think we are progressing in understanding those systems because everything is so recent. Everything is, you know, all of those models and understanding the industry, it's all so new for everyone, small and big studios. Everyone is trying to understand, everyone is trying to make viable productions along the way. And this approach of creating games that are one package with a beginning, middle, and end, and that's it, there's nothing more, this will be less and less frequent in the industry. And I don't think that needs to be bad. I know that a lot of games are like that and they are kind of bad. They are not trying to release the highest quality games or the highest quality content and character development and storylines. But I think there's a lot of potential there because, as I said many times, games can evolve over time. They can become better over time. Because if you think about it, even Cyberpunk 2077 upon release was very buggy and the reviews for it were very mediocre. After a while, after a year, 2 years upon release, you know, several patches and fixes, the game was considered to be great because it was developed over time. And I think a lot more games deserve that opportunity. And, you know, once again, I'm not saying all of the practices are good. Probably most of the practices are bad, but I think we can develop more good practices in the industry over time. All right, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Also, leave a like to the video, that helps me a lot. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.